Nation. The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
Welcome to episode 78 of the Sports Card Nation podcast. And I hate to do it, but I got to start off with the show by the intro here. And just, it's taking the hobby, setting the hobby ablaze is the Topps 2020 project. Just what these cards are bringing on the secondary market now right away. You know, and I said, well, the print runs will go up and the prices will come down. That's actually not the case. I was wrong. What's actually happening is the lower print runs are going up even more, but even the higher print runs are still bringing a pretty penny. I've never seen anything like it in my time in the hobby. It's just, I don't have a real good explanation for it. It's not, I hear about the art folks coming over and I'm sure there's a little bit of that, but this is not being carried by art folks. This is being carried by hobby folks, and whether you like to admit that or not, that's what's going on. And I'm going to save my big rant for it in the What's Cracking segment. Speaking of the 2020 project, my guest today is one of the artists and one of the really good ones, and I got to know him a little bit. We talked quite a bit even off the air, not recording. Gregory Siff, originally, like myself, from Brooklyn, and we share a few other similarities as well. I'll save that for the interview, but it was great having Gregory on, a great artist. So we talk about the Mattingly, which like the blue, I call it the blueprint Mattingly, just really crazy. And there's another card that's just going insane on the secondary market. So we're not going to talk so much about that. It's just about his career, how he got involved at Topps, his process, and life stuff. And glad he was on. I'm sure we'll have him on again towards the latter end of the project to kind of catch up with him. But what an excellent guy, human being, and I'm privileged to have him on the show. And I hope you enjoy the interview. I think you will. Pretty interesting to say the least. And this whole project has been interesting to say the least. Right now, the hobby's just on fire. And if you would have told me this would have happened with the pandemic as well, I there's no way I would have bet on that. I very few people, I think, would. I don't have a legitimate explanation. I don't like putting labels on people. I got into it with someone on Twitter about labeling people new money. We were all new money. Before we got into this, if you got into this hobby 10 years ago, then 10 years ago, you were new money. I got in this hobby 40 years ago. I was new money in 1979. And I don't like the term. It's slang. It's derogatory. It has a negative connotation because it speaks to, I was here before you. You're new money. You're the new kid. It's not welcoming. As a hobby, we're better than that. We don't need to. I don't care if you got into hobby yesterday and me 40 years ago. We're both part of this hobby. We got to stop labeling things all the time. It's unnecessary. It's segregating. It's putting people in boxes. And I'm going off on a little rant here in the intro, guys. And that's how strongly I feel about it. It's baloney. We're better than that as people, and I was surprised at who said that. And we got to be better than that. I don't care if you join tomorrow the hobby. Welcome. I hope you listen to the show. You can DM me, you can email me, you text me. My number is 315-491-0239. Anyone's welcome to text me. I'll answer any questions or be as helpful as I can. I don't care if you joined the hobby 5 minutes ago or 50 years ago. We need to stop it. We want this hobby to boom and succeed. We don't look at new people like, ooh, we were here first. This isn't a turf war. The Warriors were just a movie, West Side Story. Stop with that baloney. It's baloney. You ought to be ashamed of yourself if you feel that way. This is not, I was here first, okay? And if you feel like that, that's an indictment on you. On you. Not on the new person who joined the hobby. And whatever reason someone joined the hobby, someone said, well, they joined the hobby, John, because they just want to flip and make money. Welcome to America. Welcome to America. The land of the free. Free enterprise. You don't like it? Then be grumpy. Be grumpy in your own house. Sulk in your room. But this is a free country. You can't cut someone down because they're doing something that's legal. You might not like it, but it's legal. As long as no one's, scamming or cheating or trimming cards or stealing money or taking money and not sending their end of the deal. If they're flipping cards and selling and sending their portion of the deal and buying and paying for what they're buying, more power to them. God bless you and everyone else. And I'm just sick of people labeling new people and I was here first and you're a new money. What is that? What is that? I don't care when you join the hobby. Welcome. Stick around. I hope you do stick around. And whatever you're doing, if you're flipping, if you're not hurting no one, you're not robbing people, you're not ripping people off, you're not scamming people, you're doing things legit and above board, welcome. That's all I got to say. Let's start the show. Time for this week's incoming product releases. All right, let's talk about the release counter. Things are doing better in the production area, so many of this items should be on time. We'll start from June 1st. June 1st, 2020, Onyx Vintage Premium Collection Baseball. On the 3rd of June, 2019-20, Upper Deck SP Authentic Hockey. Also on the 3rd, 2020, Topps Tier 1 Baseball. On the 5th of June, 2020, Panini Score Football. And man, I just saw a post that box is bringing $250 on the secondary market now. And that's when in your wildest dreams did you ever think Score Football would be a $250 box? That's where we are in today's market. It's insane. I don't understand it. Don't ask me. Also on the 5th, 2019 Leaf Valiant Baseball. Also on the 5th, 2019-20 Panini Court Kings Basketball. And then the next releases are the 10th, and we'll cover those next week. Most of this product should come around out on time.
Sports Card Nation Podcast is your weekly hobby and sports podcast. Now on tons of platforms including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Listened to in 44 different countries globally, Sports Card Nation is one of the most interactive podcasts around, providing great content, giveaways, and some of the hobby's best interview guests without time constraints. Thousands can't be wrong. We want to thank all the wonderful listeners around the world, our awesome guests on the show, and our tremendous sponsors making us what we are today. Remember, without you, there's no us.
It's time for What's Cracking. Okay, full disclosure, and because I'm a fair and nice guy, I'm going to give you a heads up. If you're not a fan of the 2020 project, now's your time to exit stage left, because that's what I'm about to start off what's cracking with. This episode has a 2020 artist on it. The next 4 episodes will have a 2020 project artist on it. You're probably not going to like me, and I might have went from your favorite podcast to the bottom of the list. But this thing is something I'm enjoying. Obviously, the hobby's enjoying, and it's the big story of the hobby. And I'm going to cover it in more ways than one. So here we go. I'm going to start talking about it right now. All right. So, I mean, unless you live under a rock, you know about Topps 2020 project. Become very popular. Slow crescendo. And that crescendo came in one full swoop. We almost hit the 6-figure mark in print run with Keith Shores, Ken Griffey Jr., $99,000. Josh Vides, Nolan Ryan, $66,000. Both are now 1 and 2 on the list. And that Ben Baller, Mike Trout at $34,000 doesn't seem so large anymore. Let's call a spade. Why the sudden influx? Everyone's getting in. Fear of missing out. Like Dr. Beckett said on his show, he recently did a FOMO episode, sort of along these lines. People don't want to feel like they're missing in on a good thing that everyone else is getting in on. They don't want to be left out. I think it's a little bit of that. It is speculators or flippers, if you want to call them that. They're a part of the hobby. I don't use it in a derogatory name. I just did a rant in the intro where I don't like labels. So if you want to call them quick investors, sell movers, buyers and sellers quickly, whatever you want to call them, a lot of those are now involved, and it is what it is. This is the hobby. This is a free country. They got in. It's affecting print runs. That's life. Now, what do? I can't tell you what to do. It's not really my place to tell you what to do. My advice, if you enjoy a card, you collect a player, buy those cards. I'm a Jackie Robinson guy. Now, I'm kicking myself. I'm full disclosure here. I did not buy a few of the early Jackie Robinsons. I kind of thought I could kind of go back and get them at a later date. Whoops.
You can't handle the truth.
And truth is, I don't believe I'm going to be able to afford to go back and get those earlier Jackie Robinsons, and that is what it is. Maybe I can. We'll see, but not at the moment. It's just crazy. So at the time of this recording, let's go some numbers. I told you the 2 big sellers. Maybe by the time this airs, those won't even be the 1 and 2 leaders in the clubhouse anymore. As a whole, the Topps 2020 project has sold 650,000 cards. It's a lot of one touches and mag tights. They've around, by estimates and doing some math, they're around $10 million in income from the commission itself. And folks, we are really only 25% of the way in. What do I see now? I don't know. This is, I said this on Twitter. I've been in this industry 30 something years now. And, normally I say that, I'm not trying to brag, or just the fact I have been. And, I've owned a store, I've sold online, I still sell online. I've seen a lot of stuff in 30 something years of the hobby. I gotta be honest with you. All my experience, it doesn't matter with this particular release. All bets are off, as I said. Just when you thought you've seen everything, you haven't, or at least I haven't. And this commission has really, this release has really just taken a life of its own. From low print runs to now exploding print runs, and I get some questions asked to me online, people who know I'm into it, knowing I'm talking to the artist, and they ask for my feedback. And I gotta be honest with you, my guess is probably as good as yours here. I have a little insight, but just when you think you kind of figured this thing out, it throws you a curveball and catches you kind of looking. And so I expect now, putting on my thinking cap here or analyst cap here, I expect the print runs to continue to be high as people still try to capitalize on a good thing, and that's America. I don't look at that as a negative thing. I guess if you were making money with the lower print runs, you probably don't like those folks, but I don't go there. I don't cross that line, and that's to each their own. And people chose to buy it. It's a public card offering, and almost 100,000 people decided to buy a card this week, and that's the beauty of this hobby. Is it's open to participation in any form or fashion you'd like to do it in. And so what do I expect? I expect the print runs to be in the high five figures. I don't foresee that going down that quickly. What I think will happen, again, this is just a prediction. I could be wrong. I've already been wrong on this release, so it wouldn't be the last time or the first time if I was. And so what do I think happens? I think as these print runs go up, the speculators, if you will, or the people trying to just buy a bunch and sell them quickly and pocket some profit, they're probably going to jump off when those print runs make that increasingly difficult and those waters get harder to navigate. And then maybe those print runs slowly come down, but I don't really see them, folks, coming down to the levels we saw previously. 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. I think those days are in the rearview mirror. I think the lowest totals we may see now in the future. And again, this will be interesting to see if I was right or wrong, but probably 20, 30,000. But who knows? Who knows? It just takes a bunch of people kind of souring or getting off the train, if you will, and to bring those numbers back down. And I tell you, with everything I've seen in the year 2020 in the hobby, I don't know what's next. I don't know, wax is costing what your house costs almost, and score football. Here's another interesting thing. Score football, right? The same score football that's in your clearance rack at your Walmart or your Target. The 2020 score football, now the hobby edition, but still not known as a premium high demand product, $250. That's right, $250. Just things are just insane. It's bizarro world in the hobby right now. And I don't have, other than some economic stuff, I don't have a real legitimate explanation. We're at our highest unemployment rate in the history of this country. We have the most people ever on unemployment. We have people unable to go to work during this pandemic. And if you would have told me with all those factors, folks, that this hobby would be booming to the level that it is, I would have lost that bet. I don't know what the bet would have been, but whatever I would have bet, I would have been losing it. And I'm shocked. I'm almost, me, who's never speechless, is almost speechless. I don't get it. Maybe I never will. Maybe it's not to get. Maybe it just is what it is, and there's no real, 1 + 1 = 2 type of equation here. It's just the way it is, and I still love the hobby, and sometimes not. It doesn't always have to be black and white or cut and dry. Sometimes you just roll with it, enjoy it. Don't spend more than you can. Spend what you can. I'll tell you this, though. I don't like to really tell you what to do and what to buy, what not to buy too much. Here I have a couple hobby rules. I'll get on my soapbox a little bit here if you allow me to. And you probably heard me say some of these if you're a regular listener to the show. Number 1, hobby rule. Do not pay anybody to tell you what cards you should sell or buy, when, and how. That information is free if you want to do a little legwork. And that money you're giving someone to tell you, give it to me. I'll tell you whatever you want to hear. 10, 20 bucks, you give me the money, I'll tell you. You tell me what you're hoping I say, and I'll say it. I'm kidding. But that's money you could be putting in the hobby and getting something of tangible merchandise for. Not just words or an email or a diagram or a chart. Much of that information is readily available for free. Put that money in the hobby. Make a transaction where you actually get tangible goods. Do not pay anybody for advice. I've been doing this almost 40 years. I wouldn't be able to charge you for that, okay? And I love when these guys say, in my 3 years in the hobby, here's the trends I made or discovered. Get out of here, man. 3 years, I'm not paying you, and you shouldn't either, all right? Do what you enjoy. If you're going to spend money in a hobby, get something for it other than words or chart. All right, there's one of my soapbox moments. The other thing, and this could be up for debate, but wax is a general losing proposition when you are opening it, unless you're a breaker. If you are buying a box outright as a consumer, I'm not talking about buying into a break. I'm not talking about a breaker where people have bought into teams or randoms or whatnot. Breakers do very well for the most part, especially good ones. But if you're just going to a store, even retail, even those $20 blasters that are probably not going to be $20 much longer as these companies catch on that people are clearing the shelves, get ready for $30 blasters, folks. Pretty soon. It's coming. You heard it. Well, I don't know if you heard it here first, but you heard it here. Even on the retail level, at the cheap level, right? And now with hobby, forget it. Score Football $250, Mosaic at $700-800, Prism. You know the deal. That's generally a losing proposition. You are not going to recoup what you put in that box. Is it fun to rip and open? Yes, I won't argue that. I love the rip and open packs too. But my bank account doesn't like it. And yours won't either. And so you really have to, at the end of the day, decide, number one, can you afford to take those losses, take it on the chin, take it right into pants? And I told you, I ran up a credit card just almost in wax alone, actually more than $10,000 in credit. I don't want debt. I was paying it, but I ran up a $10,000 plus bill in a matter of a year or two on wax consumption, and then I stopped, and that bill's gone. And now I have zero personal credit card debt. I have money in the bank, a good amount. I'm doing pretty well, and I'll attribute it to not buying wax and buying singles and lots and collections. I let someone else pay $400 for that box of cards, have fun opening it, and then when the dust settles and they look at their haul and they're like, man, I didn't really do that good. And then they say, John, you want this lot? I'll sell it to you for $75. And I'm like, yeah, I'll buy it. And then I'll sell that in turn, probably get $150. Or maybe I grade some of those cards and even more. I mean, every scenario is different. I've really cut down my wax consumption immensely. Is it easy? Do I still like to open stuff? Yeah. Who doesn't? Who's in this hobby that doesn't like to rip open a hobby pack? Listen to the intro to this segment. It's what's cracking. It's me. That's actually a real soundbite of me opening the pack. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I won't argue. We're on the same team, wearing the same jersey, waving the same pennant as far as how fun is it to open packs. But that fun only lasts while you open it. And then when dust settles and you have to decide, how did I do here for what I spent? That's where I get off at a different stop than maybe you do. And I had wiped out a huge debt from being disciplined like that. What do I do with wax now? Well, if you follow me or you've heard the show or you follow me on Twitter, you've seen some of my social medias. I buy wax. I do. I really do. But I don't open it. You know, I bought 30 Prism Blasters earlier this year. I opened 3 of them. I had 27 left, and I think we know what those all go for now. And now I have about 4 left, which I still have kept, and that price isn't going down, right? And so that's what I do. I buy a lot of the updates. I try to pick products that I think are going to appreciate in value. You might have saw me post on Twitter. I bought a bunch of the Panini Basketball 2019-20 sticker boxes. Now, if you go to Walmart and find the whole box and you bring it through the register, they're going to charge you $74, I think, or $75. I bought, I think, about 8 boxes at 50 something bucks. A couple of them 45. I bought like 3 boxes off one person for $130. So that's about $44. And I've got those 8 boxes on my wax shelf, and I just feel with the rookie class, there's, you know, people forget that in those Panini stickers, in each pack, there's regular cards in there too, including Ja and Zion, and there's blue parallels, red parallels, silver foil parallels, and I think it's one of those sleeper products. I kind of I don't want to say I let the cat out of the bag. I'm a pretty honest and upfront guy, but that's a guy I think that's a product I think if you can find at a decent price level, buy it, put it on your shelf. Don't open it. Now, I lied. I bought 8 boxes. I opened 1 box. And I actually did pretty good. Hit a red Kobe White from the Bulls. But again, nothing in life's guaranteed. But I wanted to open the box, kind of see how 50 packs runs. And so I have 7 left that I just put on my wax shelf that's in the studio office here. I'm actually looking at it as I'm talking into the microphone here. And so that's what I do with wax now. I put it away. I'll open a little bit. I don't want to lie to you and say I don't open any, but I open nowhere near like I used to. Not even close. And you say, well, John, you don't open as much. You're probably not putting cards like you used to on StarStock, ComC, eBay, Sport Lots. You don't have the cards if you don't open the boxes or the packs. False. I just told you I still buy a lot of cards. I buy cards. I buy singles. I buy lots. I go on eBay. Buy a lot of lots on eBay. I opened 1 box of Bowman Draft Sapphire. 1 box. I hit 2 Adleys in one box, 1 pack. And I sold a couple boxes. I still got some, again, marinating on my shelf. And what did I do? I love the product, but I didn't want to open it anymore. It was worth more to me sealed and selling it down the line than to open it for the singles. So what did I do? I go on eBay and I buy 50 count lot, 75 card lot of Bowman Draft Sapphire, 30, 40, even $50. You know, yeah, there's not an Adley in those lots, but there's those other guys that may hit. You know, not every guy's Mike Trout, and not every guy that's supposed to be Mike Trout makes it. There's a lot of guys on that roadway to Mike Troutville on the side of the road with smoke coming out of their engine and a flat tire. And so those guys, second rounders, third rounders, fourth rounders, are all-star players eventually too. And so when I buy those lots, and I just keep a shoebox, a monster box of those lots of Bowman Draft Sapphire, and so hits in 2-3 years, and there's 20 of them sitting in the box at $100 a piece or $150 or whatever, you know, the market dictates. I made out. All you got to do is really hit one guy like that in all the lots that you buy. And so that's my what I do. If you ever want to ask me anything, folks, I'm not an expert. I've just done this a long time. My fee is very low price. Come closer to your radio or your head. It's free. Ask me anything you want. reach out to me in a DM, an email. I answer every inquiry. You may not like everything I say, but I answer every if someone's reached out to me, unless they're selling Ray-Bans, I respond to every question or inquiry. Okay? Enjoy what you do. Be smart. And the hobby is for everybody. We don't put labels on them. So, last to close this segment out, we just saw the effect The Last Dance had on the Michael Jordan market. Now, I will tell you this, if you've paid attention to the market of Michael Jordan after the close of the show, some of that stuff is starting to settle back down as well, and it's not as many sales. I mean, it's still Michael Jordan. He always sells, but not obviously like the prime of the show. But what is starting to ramp up, we're seeing, is because of the McGuire Sosa doc that's soon to come. Some of the McGuire and Sosa market is starting to pick up. Now, I don't see the correlation there unless you're a firm believer that McGuire is going to get in the Hall of Fame someday. He hasn't hit any more home runs since he retired. Same thing with Sosa. Sosa forgot how to speak English as well, and we could talk about some other stuff, but I won't because I'm trying to be a nice guy. I don't get the uptick in those two guys, but here's an example of buying stuff you like. I'm not a Mark McGuire guy at all, and Blake Jameson's 2020 project, Mark McGuire, I saw it, so holy smokes, I love that card. I bought two. I bought two of those cards. Not a McGuire guy, just liked the card. He did such a great job with it, and so that's I'll do stuff like that. But I didn't buy those McGuires necessarily. I bought them because of the appearance of them. I have no visions of grandeur or flipping them necessarily. I'm not saying I'll never sell them, but that wasn't the original thought process when I went on the Tops and bought those two cards. So I just don't see, generally why all the McGuire stuff is starting to go up. I'm not sure. I don't believe he gets in the Hall. Do his numbers dictate that he should be? Sure, but we all know why he's not getting in. And, I don't know if that thing's going to be let go and let those folks in the Hall of Fame. So I really don't know why the uptick. We all know that his prime with cards was during the JWE. And I don't, there's no shortage of them. And maybe the graded stuff, I'm a huge grader, as most know. I'm big into grading. So that I can understand maybe some of the graded stuff, a little bit of an uptick. But some of the base cards, 87 Tops, even at 85 Tops, there's plenty of those. I myself I'm not even a McGuire guy. And if I looked in one of these boxes here, there's probably 10 of them in there. 87 Tops, probably good double digits there. I don't understand it. Just from a documentary, the docs come out. Even the Jordan. I get the Jordan a little bit because it really, a lot of the younger set doesn't know him like someone of my age might, and it kind of enlightened them. I don't know if I see that same effect with McGuire or Sosa, but that's the market we're in now, folks, is things get weird bounces from things like that. And my advice, I don't know, I guess take if you want to, if you're not a McGuire or Sosa guy and you want to, make a few bucks, I guess I'd be silly not to say, hey, sell some of your stuff, at the peak. I mean, it's just common sense. And so, it is what it is. I don't, this year of 2020 in the hobby, it's the year of I don't understand, and I'll be the first to admit, in 30-something years, all bets are out the door and out the window. It's just a lot of things have no rhyme or reason. So there it is. Pastime Marketplace offers a line of durable graded card cases made for collectors who want high-quality graded card storage that is virtually indestructible. Their cases are waterproof, dustproof, airtight, and designed to protect your valuable collection. Check them all out at www.pastimemarketplace.com. Protect your best with the best.
I know the chunky that left these chunkies. Newman! Open the door, Newman. I know you're in there.
Those sound bites means it's none other than time for Newman's own ramblings, the part of the show where I take a question that I get asked off the air via either email or DM, and I ask it to myself on the air and answer it.
John, you seem like an astute man.
Thank you, Mr. Walken.
Maybe you can help explain something to me.
Well, I'll give it my best shot. So this week's question comes from the way of Twitter. It was kind of a twofold question, long, drawn-out paragraph, which is fine. I don't mind that. I asked the author of that paragraph if I could read those questions on the show today and answer it on the show. He said that's fine, but he asked if I would respectfully not mention his Twitter name or his real name. So out of due respect to him, I will not do that. It's kind of twofold. It was a longer paragraph. Like I said, I'll kind of condense it. He basically asked me, how is it that I can talk about other podcasters or have them on the show or be on their show? Is it, his question, isn't it competitive? Aren't we supposed to be kind of battling each other? And how do I do that? And I talk about them and praise them and that. And he just asked about the dynamics pertaining to that. And then the second question, he mentioned about a network forming of a podcast network and my thoughts and 2 cents on that. And let me start with the first part, and I'll go on the second part. First part, real easy to answer. I have no problem mentioning other podcasts that I enjoy. I listen to other podcasts on a regular basis. And so for me to not acknowledge that is being disingenuous. And if you know anything about me, I don't care whether you like me or hate me or don't like me. I'm a pretty honest and straight shooter, and I always will be, and that's the way I was raised. And so I don't have a problem mentioning another show that I like, or appearing on their show, or having that podcaster as a guest on this show, and mentioning their name, or retweeting a tweet to their show. I'll do that to the day I'm not here anymore, and not bat an eye about it. I have a lot of friends in the industry, if you will. I try to support them as best I can, and I have no problem cross promoting. And maybe that's easy to say. Some might say, well, John, it's easy to say. The show's doing pretty well. We're now into the quad listens per episode. It's a great place to be. I'm very happy. Not complacent, though. Even though we're doing very well, we're still going to grind and work hard and get the best guests we can on the show and produce the best show. But I am happy where the show is. Again, not complacent, but very happy. So I guess it's easy for me to be like that when the show is doing as well as it is. But, even before we got to that level, when the show was in that mid-tiers and lower tiers even, I'm the same person. The show's just doing better. And I'm not competing. To me, maybe others, I can only speak for myself here. I'm not competing against other shows. I'm competing against myself. I want this show to be better than the last week's show. I want next week's show to be better than this week's show. It's funny, in talking to a lot of the 2020 Tops Project artists, they all seem to have that same theme as well. They want their next piece or card to be better than the previous one if they can do it. And that's how I kind of feel with the show. I'm kind of competing against myself. There's 100 podcasts out there, folks. I can't keep tabs on all of them. I don't even know all of them. So I'm competing against myself to make the best show we can for the listeners that we have. And there's a lot of you. And so I feel like I owe it you that much, hard work and effort to get it done so I can keep you. And hopefully you listen every week. And that's that, someone's listening to that, say, what a bunch of baloney or bullark. No, that's the honest to God truth. So no, I'm not competing against anyone else. If they feel differently, that's going to be their thing, and more power to them. As far as the second thing with networks or what have you, I have a network. I have 2 shows on my network. Sports Card Nation, you're listening to it. Hobby Quick Hits, the Newman Network. Networks are whatever, God bless them. More power to them. To me, I like shows. I don't like, networks are schmetworks, okay? So if I'm watching TV, I'm watching NBC, I'm watching CBS, I'm watching Fox, I'm watching HBO. Those are all individual networks. I like shows on every network. Go into podcasting. I like different shows, different genres of shows, sports card hobby shows. I like crime podcasts. I like UFO podcasts and paranormal stuff. All different networks, platforms, Podbean, Anchor. I don't even care what platform they're on. I like the show. I'm not subscribing to a network. I'm subscribing to a show. And that's how I'll always be. Someone's on a network, God bless them, knock yourself out, break a leg, make a killing, get yours, go for yours. That's all I got to say. I listen to shows across multiple networks, TV, podcasts. It doesn't matter. It's a name. That's all it is. It's a name. Enjoy what you enjoy. Don't make it a turf war. It's not. It's not. This is a big, big industry. Like I said, there's 100 sports card podcasts alone. Enjoy the ones you like. Hopefully this is in your rotation. If it is, thank you. If it isn't, God bless you just the same. Enjoy yourself, whatever that is. So I wanted to talk about a new marketplace that is about to hit the sports card scene, and it's called StarStock. StarStock is building a sports card marketplace aimed to be faster and cheaper for flipping sports cards than any other platform. This is a ground level moment in the hobby, and StarStock is currently looking for people who want to be the first to sell their cards at launch of this new platform. It's due to launch in April this year, and here's what StarStock is offering you. 5% commission, no ingestion fees. You send in your cards, they do all the work and post them up for you. Cards are guaranteed and secured in their vault. Cards need to remain in the vault for trading. You can choose to ship your cards back at any time you'd like. StarStock will be a flipper's paradise. You can buy, flip, store, or ship cards with the click of a button. StarStock is only looking for sellers with rookie cards and or prospect cards of current players. For more details, that email again is mike@starstock.com. Or you can follow them on Instagram at StarStockMarket. All one word. That's at StarStockMarket.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Commence interview sequence.
All right, real excited to have my next guest on the 101 Card Shop guest line. Just spoke to him a little bit here before we're coming on the air, and I didn't realize we had that much common. I knew we had a few things. He's a fellow Brooklynite, and we both are Mets fans. But I just realized we both have the same nationality. We're half Jewish, half Italian. And so, man, it's crazy. He's one of the Topps 2020 project artists. He's got multi-talents. We're going to talk about those as well. But I'm happy to have him on the show. Gregory Siff, welcome.
Hi, John. Happy to be here, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Again, BK in the house ×2.
What do they say? You can take the kid out of Brooklyn, but you can't take the Brooklyn out of the kid?
That's right. And I know you're on the West Coast. We talked a little bit on the air, but like you said, once from New York, always from New York. And so you're multi-talented besides being an artist, an opera singer, an actor. Some of you may have heard your voice as Rocco Pelosi on Grand Theft Auto. I mean, what don't you do, I guess would be my first question.
Oh man! Ever since I've been a kid, I've always whatever it is that I love, I'll just embrace it. Like if it was playing baseball in little league and in high school, I wanted to be Gary Carter. I wanted to be a catcher, and I would tell my dad, I said, I got to get the same exact mask as Gary. I got to get the same glove. I like to follow through with everything. So even with the acting and the voiceovers and the opera, it's just, and the one that I stuck on was the artwork and the painting. And I find myself here today in my studio, pressing out these cards and enjoying it. It's a dream come true.
Yeah, and I've seen some of your stuff. Before we get into the top stuff, I mean, you've worked for Mercedes, Christie, Sotheby's Auction, Red Bull, Warner Brothers Records. Your works appeared in numerous publications. I mean, I'm all about giving the guests their proper due, their proper credit, so I wanted to make sure that you mentioned the art, obviously. When at what age did you kind of know you had something there? Like, hey, I'm not too bad at this, and I like it.
For me, the art was always something that was there for me when other things weren't going right.
Yeah.
And because acting is a tough, I mean, there was a lot of sacrifices I had to make as an actor because I loved being in New York, but I had to fly to LA to go do a lot of things. So it was separating from my family and moving away. And as you know, I come from a close family. We always have dinner on Sunday. Italians. There's a big thing when you say I'm leaving, and I'm not only moving out of the state, but I'm moving all the way across the country in a different time zone.
Yeah.
So whatever life gave me, and whenever I would find things weren't going the right way, I found that when I painted or I made things, I felt good. It wasn't about anything about. It was just about self-soothing yourself, and I would paint on action figures and Spider-Man, and when I couldn't get a figure I wanted, or even when it was like Game Boy, when Game Boy came out, and I knew I wanted it for Christmas so bad, but I built one out of cardboard and I colored it in and I painted it like a physical Game Boy. So it made me feel good, like, oh, if I can't have it, I can make it. And that's it always started back then. I mean, 12, 13 years old, comic books, baseball cards, and then expressing myself in the theater and in school. And I found myself, always comfortable being around paint. And that's what, you go on all these different routes. And the more you do it, my thing was make something every day and share it with somebody. And as I was doing that, I found that I was sharing it online. I also shared it in the street. I was doing some street art. And in 2009, 2010, I started becoming very, obsessed with it. And I got my name out there. And then I found that the galleries were saying, why don't you bring some paintings in? And then I met a whole group of other people of the same ilk. We all were artists, and it became like, you find your team in life. And I found some of the best friends of my life through art. I found my girlfriend through art. So I always have this kind of thing that when life is tough, or when something is pushing you in a way that you don't, it's not comfortable or it's tough, push yourself into it, and push yourself into it with what you love to do. And I do use my art. So you can't have a bad day as an artist. It just turns into a gesture and an emotion and a feeling. And, I always like how baseball is. It's how you play the game. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. You're not trying to make the best painting here. Like, it's not a competition. It's just, how do you like to play it? What colors do you use? How do you express yourself?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about, we'll get into Project 2020, but that's what's really cool to see is other guys that I've looked up to, and new faces and new artists that I've never even been, exposed to. And now it makes me love art even more.
Yeah, and like you said, you can put your own interpretation on it. Being from New York, I know you just did the Mattingly, which is almost, I don't want to just, it's sort of like a blueprint with like paint dripping. Awesome. I got a couple, like I told you, headed here to Syracuse, and just what you're doing is all, all the artists. Obviously, I'm talking to you now, but I told you this, and I told you this off the air. Right now, to me, that Manley's right up there as one of the better ones that I've seen thus far. Now we got a ways to go, but
no. Got a lot more. That's my fourth card. It's card 69 in the series, and I felt like that was the first time I went big. Like, that piece is 30 inches by 40 inches, and it's like the size of a giant baseball card. So I decided to stick with that for my next card. And thank you for those words. We're learning every day. There's 20, and they're all, you have to show up and give your best on each one.
Yeah, and it's I compare it, and I mentioned this to Blake Jameson, who was on this program.
Love that guy.
I
love that guy.
Yeah, and it's almost like a rock band or any band, right? They have a huge album, and then they got to make the next album, and it's like that. We got to top that one,
Yes.
And it's a little bit of pressure there, I would think, to do that. I know, at least in music wise, you feel sort of that way with the art perspective. Like, man, how that one's pretty. Like, that's pretty good. Like, hey, what am I gonna do next here? I might have peaked too early. I know you're not, but just having a little fun.
Yeah.
Do you feel that sort of internal, like, man?
You're right, because I didn't feel it through my first four cards. I was just having such a fun time. And then, when you get the big boys like Griffey and Trout, and well, they're all the big boys.
Yeah.
But,
I know what you mean.
So when Jeter came up on my roster, I just don't want to I want to do something for New York and capture that. I want to capture the grit of New York and the elegance in New York. I want to make something that everybody, I'm a New Yorker fan all the way through.
Yeah.
Gooden is my dude, because that's the guy that I met, and I was with him, and I'm a Mets fan foremost, but I'm a New York fan, and I was like, I want to portray Jeter in that, in the shining example that he is with the Turn 2 Foundation, and I want to show up from New York. So that was the first lick of pressure, and I was like, I'm going to have to up it again, because, and then even then as you're doing one, you're painting, and I'm like, I got an idea for Trout now, and I have this like mad scientist of a floor with a bunch of extra cards that are kind of like B-sides. It is like making an album, because I've got like 9 Bob Gibsons on the floor, and I want to I want to kind of take the best of each part of it and put it into one. So
something you said is leading to the question I'm about to ask you. How far ahead are you looking? Are you knowing what's coming up? Are you ready? Have ideas in your mind? Oh, I think I'm going to do this here and do that there. How many cards ahead is your mind on? I guess
I could only go 3 ahead, because that's just I don't have the whole list of as they go. But I'm always in the studio, and in between I'm also painting paintings for. I have a virtual exhibit with a bunch of strong LA artists. That's going to be, it's basically on Beverly Boulevard out here, and a bunch of artists, some friends of mine, my manager, 4 a.m. Gallery, and Sophia Pensky from Pensky Projects. There's going to be an art show where people can drive by and see projected this show. And then my friend This Means Mar, he's painting a mural on this gallery space that's usually a gallery space, but it's all going to be for charity. We're gonna have our paintings projected out on a television outside, and then they're going to be able to buy prints for the charity Art of Elysium. So I'm painting those pieces, and I do all these symbols and some really cool iconography, and the baseball is already bleeding into that. So I like that. I'm painting paintings that are going to be in art shows. I'm painting the Topps Project 2020. I'm also in here, mailing out these sticker packs that I made, these cool hologram stickers, and it's an exciting moment. And having this is a great way to bring up morale raise
Yep.
money and connect people, because we connected through this today.
Yeah, no doubt, and I'm glad for that too, Gregory. And that's one thing I wanted to mention too. And kudos to you, hats off to you. I know you do a lot of philanthropy stuff for charity, and we need more people doing that stuff. We try to do that here on the show. We've had some of that.
You know who's a really cool guy who actually. Blake Jameson told me that, he's doing some great things.
Yeah.
He's working overtime. He's making some incredible pieces, and he linked up with Mattingly Charities.
Yep.
And I'm gonna, and he's donating 10% of his autograph sales, I believe, to the players' charities. And I'm gonna follow his lead on that with the Mattingly card, because I've got a big drop coming with the Mattingly autograph editions. I'm probably gonna have about 100 of those cards in different signed in different paint markers, and I like that. I love when people see the bigger picture with it, because that's what the art is there for.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just can reach so many people and help so many people, and that's the beauty in it. It's more than the surface. How would you now? I know with artists, a lot of people like to label like their style. How would you describe your own style?
This is how I've always kind of described it. I make feel good art.
Yeah.
I make art that makes me feel good, and then when people see it, I want them to feel good.
Yeah.
I have a style that is, very in the moment and pure, and it's a conversation, and it's like a record of someone's life. And it could be pieces of mine and yours, and if you see a painting that I created that you find yourself in it, then we find that commonality. So I've always loved, the abstract expressionists like Jackson Pollock, and I love Jean-Michel Basquiat, whose work spoke directly about what he was going through in 1980s African-American an artist who wanted to break onto the gallery scene, and he came from a world where he was spray painting his name on the street. I love the stories of the artists that they lived through, and I feel like for me, and I'm so close to my father that and I had him till he was 85.
Yep.
But I feel when I paint, I connect with him.
Yep.
So my art is very connective. It's very feel good, and it documents a time. It's so when I'm not here, you could look at the wall and be and know the story when we're gone. And like I'm staring at that Mattingly painting right now, and it'll always remember this period of time where the world was in a very hard and tragic time, and we were coming out of it, and the American pastime of baseball and us coming together to talk about it. That's what I would think about when I see these paintings that we're making right now.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what you just said there, Gregory, too. Now, I know, obviously, Topps didn't plan it like this with COVID-19, but I really think this 2020 project, I mean, the timing couldn't be better. We don't have sports, and this thing has just taken off and blown up in a good way.
Yes.
And it's really filled, for some, it's filled that void, the lack of we don't have baseball right now where we normally would. And so we've kind of, I think it's one of the, not the only reason, I think talent is going to rise to the top on its own, but I think because we don't have baseball actually happening on the field, that this has risen to the levels it have. And it's not that you want what's going on in the world to be happening, but the fact that it is, I mean, the timing is impeccable, and it's just worked out for the project, for the artist, and it's sort of weird how that really worked out that way.
I feel I agree, and I feel like we could learn a lot from this situation that we're in, because number one, I got a lot of emails and direct messages from people saying how good this made them feel, that they're able to connect and communicate, and that it is a good distraction, and also at the same time, when we do get back into the world where we can go to a sports go to a baseball game and, and laugh and cheer and do what we do as human beings here, there's going to be a lot of appreciation when you hear that Star Spangled Banner at that first game, and you're going to be like, thank you. We have to know how good we have it, and we have to be grateful for how good we got it. And I think that this is a great build-up. The Project 2020 is something to say, look at these moments of these guys that have been captured on these cards where we're also a part of that story. We get to go to those games and experience the home runs and honor them. And yeah.
No, I think, I think it's a great point. Someone else asked me what I would compare, to COVID-19 and the effect on the sports world. And, I know we've had H1N1 and some other serious flus and viruses. Nothing to this level, obviously. And what you just said kind of made me think about, and I know this hits home for you, but 9/11, especially in New York, and then that first game back, in New York, and the president threw out the first pitch. I know you know this as a Mets fan. Piazza hits the home run late in the game to win it. I wasn't there. I would have loved to have been. I was watching it through my TV, and you could feel the emotion, if that makes any sense. Even though you're not there, you could feel it through the TV. That's how thick it was. And I sort of think when sports does return, it's going to have similarities to that.
I agree. I didn't even think, now that you brought it up, but I do remember that so much when all of the Mets, when 9/11 hit hard and we did get back into the swing of our lives, that the Mets and the Yankees were wearing the FDNY hat, and they wore it on the field, and it was like more important than the emblem of the team was the firefighters that were lost and the police department. There was a really big camaraderie, and we're living through a very, very strange and difficult situation, and I feel like we're always come out on top. I'm gonna say we're gonna come out of this and be okay, and thank God that we're almost there. And hey, I'm gonna fly back to New York, and I'm gonna see some New York games, and even out here in the Dodger games. Yeah, we're gonna have to support everybody who's now at home. That doesn't have a chance to do what they do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think if you look at the history of the United States, sometimes we're down, but like you said, we always get off the canvas, and maybe with a standing 8 count, but we come out with our hands up and ready to battle again. So I think. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when, like you said. And so, hopefully sooner than later, obviously. But we got to do the right thing and listen to what they're kind of telling us. That's a whole nother show in itself. We're going to step aside for a quick break, but when we come back, Gregory's going to tell us how he and Tops hooked up. Let me tell you about Iron Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're your number one source for all your PSA grading submission needs. They are constantly submitting, so they are always at the ready when you're ready. They offer various turnaround levels at the lowest prices around. Cards are insured to and from PSA at no additional cost to you. And they even provide the card savers your precious cards need to be put in before being sent to PSA. They take care of that for you. And because of their elite status at PSA, they have some of the best turnaround times around. They even have group chats for each submission, so you know exactly where your status is on your cards. They have open dialogue and open communication. What are you waiting for? Contact Rob on Facebook on Iron Sports Card Group. That's Iron Sports Card Group on Facebook. Or get a hold of Rob on Twitter at Iron Sports Cards, all one word, at Iron Sports Cards. They'll take care of you. We are back with Gregory Siff. I wanted to touch a little bit, kind of tell everyone out there listening, how did the whole thing come down with Tops, and how did you get to be part of the project?
So I was working on a really cool collaboration with Stance Socks.
Yeah.
They're the leading sock, and also that they have some great products for underwear, and they make their official sock of MLB. And
Yep.
I was working with them. I did a collection that with them, and I flew to Japan and painted over there, which was a great experience. And my manager got me this project for Complex Con, where we have it out here in Long Beach, and it is such a cool project where I was painting live. I was painting a huge painting called Everything You Love About Baseball at the convention for MLB, and I made Brooklyn Dodgers socks, LA
Yes.
Dodgers socks, and New York Yankees socks for this collaboration with Stance and MLB. And on the painting, I was like, well, what do I love about baseball? I started putting all, the Padres mascot and that big apple from the 86 apple that pops up from the Mets, and, every little thing. Ozzie Smith doing a backflip.
Yeah.
It was like everything you love about baseball. And then the Topps logo just came to my mind because Topps is so synonymous.
Yep.
It's equal to that iconic MLB logo. So I put that on there, and that was kind of like a way to start to call it through into the universe. And my manager said, I got this, there's this project that I think you're going to be perfect for. So my manager, Lisa, sent me, I was finishing this show in Tampa called Evidence of Life, because I believe all art is evidence of life. You leave a mark, from cave drawings to anything, and what you do is evidence of life. How you treat people, your podcast, it's evidence of life. Someone was here and you made something.
Yeah.
So I'm out there, and that's when I got the news, and I spoke to Topps on the phone, and I was still in show mode, and I said, as soon as this show is over, I'm going to get home and I'm going to look at these cards. And I looked at the roll call, and I was like, wow, this is my childhood. I lost everything in Sandy, except I have two very cool gifts. I have a signed home plate from 1986 by all of the Mets, the 86 Mets, and that was a gift from my good friend Scotty. And then I also have I have just a few baseball cards at home, but now I've been on eBay. Every day is like Christmas. I come home and there's really eBay is a great place to find what you lost, if you will.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, man, that's great. I'm glad they did. Let's put it that way. I think a lot of other people would echo that sentiment. I mean, like you said, you're just 4 cards in at Mattingly. Really, not to say the other 3 aren't good, but that Mattingly really takes the cake, as they say. And like we talked earlier, you set the bar pretty high early, Gregory. Here,
I'll tell you, it's the power of the brush, because and even Picasso, you can use markers, you could do digital, you could cut things up, because I really, my favorite card, I think, is the George Brett, because it was my first one, and it was such a cool experience for me to work on the first card, but Mattingly is where the brush touched the canvas.
Yeah.
And there was a lot, it holds weight, and I know what you mean, and you get it, and that's why I did the same thing, where I said, let's keep the brush and the canvas, and also let's not forget about the faces in the game. So there's going to be some surprises coming up.
Yeah, well, I for one, and I know I won't be the only one. Can't wait to see what's around the corner. You got 16 more at the time we're recording this. 16 more to go. So I'm looking forward to it. You haven't done my guy Jackie Robinson yet, have you?
Nope, I haven't. He hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, that's before. I'm a huge. Being from Brooklyn, Canarsie, I'm a huge Jackie Robinson guy. Even though they were out of Brooklyn, before, I was born in 1972. My dad was a huge Brooklyn Dodger guy. He, as a kid and as a young adult, he used to live in Ebbets Field, he'd tell you. And I just immediately, just for what Jackie did and what he meant to society, became a huge Jackie Robinson guy. Every book report or essay I did in school, Gregory, was Jackie Robinson, to the point the teachers already knew when they gave out the assignment. It was kind of a running gag. A teacher might say, "All right, and John, you got to pick someone else other than Jackie Robinson this time."
So that's your man.
So
I gotta go big on that, Jackie.
Yeah. So think of me. But I already tell you, sight unseen. I know you haven't done it yet. There'll be a few of those Gregory Siff, Jackie Robinsons that I'll be buying because.
Well, I'm gonna rep Brooklyn for him. I'm gonna rep Brooklyn really.
Yes.
And he's a legend and an important ambassador, man. I think that.
Yeah. He's just one of those few players, that transcend even past the sport. As great of a baseball player as he was on the field, a Hall of Famer, what he did off the field and making the difference in people's lives is just probably even more so than his baseball career. And go ahead.
I was reading about Clemente also.
Yeah.
And, everything that he stood for, and there's a lot of respect to that. And I love the players that have that, who are there. They can play incredible, and then they also off the field they make movements outside of and make the world a better place. For real, life.
And I'll put the comparison back on the art world and the artist. A lot of artists can paint and draw, but you and I know other artists also give back and do things for charity, and that transcends past the canvas. And I know I speak for a lot of people saying, thank you for being that way and doing more than you have to. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
So man, I'm looking forward to what's to come. I'd love to have you later in the process, maybe have you come back on and kind of catch up. Maybe.
Yes, that would be so great.
Yep, let's make an appointment to do that a little more down the line here when more gets done. And awesome, man. I didn't want to put any pressure on you, but Jackie Robinson, my guy, I had to mention that. I if I didn't mention it, I'd be kicking myself later. So
no, I appreciate it, man. I want to give the best respect and make a really beautiful tribute to him because he's a hero.
Yeah. Well,
first African American player to play in MLB and Brooklyn.
Yeah. I mean, just
and he went to UCLA.
Yeah. He's melding both of your worlds together in a sense.
Brooklyn to LA.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, again, Gregory, thank you for giving us some time today. I know you're busy, so it's very much appreciated. Keep up you don't need me to tell you this, but keep up the great work, and I'd love to have you come back, and we'll talk about it all again.
Definitely, John. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. Be well.
Ciao.
One of One Card Shop offers a tremendous breaking experience, great customer service, and they're constantly pulling fire. Steve and his family take care of you like one of their own and treat you right. Anyone can break, but no one treats you like One of One. Come check them out on Instagram at one_of_one_card_shop. For all the hot breaks, get a gold mailer headed your way. Well, that brings our fun and hijinks to a close. First off, I want to thank the great artist, Gregory Siff, for being part of the program today. Great guy. Found out we shared a lot in common, our nationality. We're both from Brooklyn. We're both Met fans. And we had a great conversation, and we've even kind of communicated since this taping of his interview. And he's a great guy. And that's, I think, when doing some of these interviews with the 2020 artists, that's the thing I'm taking away. Besides being talented folks, they're really great human beings. And it brings a perspective to the project that great people are doing this. Whether, it's art's objective, whether you like the art, whether you like the cards, whether you're buying them or not. These are talented artists, and each in their own right. They're doing good works, and I'm glad a lot of them have agreed to be part of the show, including Gregory today. So I'd like to thank all of them. I'd like to thank for the work they're doing, and a lot, like we talked about on today's episode, a lot of them are doing a lot of philanthropic things too, and charities, and giving to people less fortunate, and that's something we should all strive to do. And speaking of something we should all strive to do, first up, I kind of want to apologize for maybe my rant in the intro. Not that I don't feel that way, and I'm strong about it, but I kind of came across, might have been a little harsh, but I'm very passionate about that. And speaking about philanthropy and doing things for people, we need to welcome folks in the hobby. Like I said, this hobby is great. The hobby is the people. But what kind of people do we want to be? I personally want to be someone who welcomes new people in the hobby. I was a new person in the hobby many, many moons ago, fortunately or unfortunately, and I was welcomed. And I, in turn, since then, have done the same. As long as you're not hurting anybody, stealing, doing anything illegal, then, come enjoy the hobby any way you need to. Well, there's room for everybody. I've said this numerous times. You're a set collector, you're a team collector, you're a flipper, you're an investor, you buy and sell, like I do. Whatever you do, as long as it's above board, there's room on this hobby boat. I'm not going to label you a new hobbyist, new money, nothing. You're a hobbyist, you're a collector, welcome. That's it. I don't care if it's 2020 or 1982. It does not matter when you join the hobby. There's no pension plan here. There's no tenure. Everyone is welcome as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to go. I'm getting revved up again. So let's be good to people, folks, especially during this time in the world, right? Reach out, help people, welcome people. You don't have to like somebody, right? You don't have to like them, but just be civilized, all right? Next week, scheduled, artist King Saladin, also of the 2020 Topps Project, again doing some incredible work. And then after his interview the next couple weeks, we're going to have JK5, Joseph Arialoy. Then after him, we're going to have Andrew Thiel join the show. And I look for many more down the line. We might kind of take a break from the Topps 2020 artists and then bring some new ones, hopefully, back and on the back end. So, it's been great getting to know them, see what they do and their process, and sort of prick their brain a little bit and get inside their mind. It's been really some enjoyable interviews the last 4 to 5 weeks, and really privileged to get to do this. And it's thanks to you that I get to do this, because if you don't listen to the show and support the show, we don't have a show. And I know I say that a lot, but it's true. I mean it. I think you see in today's episode, I'm very passionate about things, and this show is one of those things that fall into that column. So, again, thanks for joining us. We got some great shows coming up the next few weeks. Next week, tentatively scheduled, artist King Saladin. So, folks, be good to each other, all right? I really want to stress that and close with that. Be good with each other. Don't put people in boxes. Don't put labels. You want to label something? Buy a Dynamo labeler and label your cards, all right? But that's it. All right, folks. God bless you. Take care. We'll see you in 7 days.